Okay, this video is going to show my students how to use the calculators to calculate a linear regression equation. I will also show you how to graph that, graph the points that we're going to use for the linear regression, and we'll also discuss the linear correlation coefficient and how that relates to the strength of the linear correlation between two sets of data. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use question number 7 off the recent study guide I gave the class. See the x values and the y values, and our job is to calculate y hat, which is the linear regression equation that the calculator will provide us with. So what I'm going to do at this point is enter the data. We do that by going to the stat button for statistics, and I'm going to choose edit. And for L1, I'm going to enter 0, 3, 4, 5, and 12. Those are my x values. And in L2, I will place the y values, which was 8, 2, 6, 9, and 12. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and graph it so I can see what these ordered pairs look like. So I'm going to go to second stat plot. The stat button will use the stat plot to graph those values that we just placed in L1, L2. So I'm going to go to second stat plot, and I'm going to enter plot 1 so I can turn that on by hitting enter. And it's already placed on the scattered plot. Our x's are in L1 and our y's are in L2. So if you placed your values into a different list, make sure you use the second and L3, L4, L5, or L6 button, wherever you placed your data. At this point, I'm going to go to zoom, and if you scroll to number 9, number 9 is zoom stat, which we're working within the stat button. We're working with the stat plot, and now to make the calculator will actually calculate the window which best shows those ordered pairs by choosing zoom stat, and you can see our graph, which, by the way, does not look very linear. So we're going to calculate the linear regression anyways. So at this point, to calculate the linear regression, we're going to go back to stat, but this is something we need to calculate. We've already edited and put our values into L1 and L2. At this point, we're going to scroll to the top and hit calculate. If we scroll down to number 4, which I'm going to go ahead and just choose number 4 here, here's where we're going to put the x values. Tell the calculator where you put your x values. I put mine in L1 and L2, and I'm going to save myself a little bit of time by going and having the calculator store the regression equation in Y1. And if I scroll and have it to calculate, we'll calculate this now, and it'll tell us that our equation is y equals 0.525 plus 0.525x, I'm sorry, plus 4.878. And you can see on this, the graph has actually been placed, the line has actually been graphed over the data points. I want you to notice that if your calculator does not give the r and r squared value like mine has not, then you need to do what's called a diagnostics on. And to do that, we'll go to second catalog. And instead of scrolling down to the D's, I'm going to go ahead and hit alpha. And oh shoot, alpha was already on. See, the A represents alpha. We're going to go ahead and hit D to have it scroll down to the D's for us. And then we'll scroll down to diagnostic on. Turn diagnostic on. So I hit enter, and I hit enter again until it tells me done. And now if I'm going to hit second enter, and that pulls back the linear regression L1, comma L2, comma Y1. If I recalculate that now, it'll tell me the exact same equation that we derived a second ago, but it'll also tell me the R value, which is 0.627. This R value of 0.627 is the linear correlation coefficient. You compared this value to table A6 in the back of our Triola book. And if this value is larger than the critical value, then we know that there is linear significance relating these x values to these y values. So there would be a linear correlation, and we would use this equation to model. Otherwise, if I go back to graph at this point, you can see by storing the equation in y1 that we now have our regression equation. So to quickly summarize, we hit stat, where we enter our data and edit. If I go back to stat, we will scroll along the top to calculate. Number 4 is where we will enter our values to where we entered our values L1 and L2 so that we can calculate that equation. And if you would like to see the graph, second stat plot, turn the plot on and tell it where the x's and y values are located and hit zoom 9 and your graph will be created. I hope that helps, and good luck on any future test.